Hey guys, welcome to our podcast where we watch all of the Marvel movies individually and then we come together on a video chat to discuss it and review it, let you know what we liked, what we didn't like, things we would change, just a normal conversation. And my name is Rob, and with me I brought a few friends.
My name is Rinaldi.
Elise.
And I'm Fergie.
In this episode, we're going to talk about Iron Man 2.
In 6 months after Tony Stark has mastered the technology of his Iron Man suit, he realizes that he is being poisoned by the element that powers his suit, and he desperately seeks to find a cure. Meanwhile, the US government wants his Iron Man technology suits. And a business rival teams up with a rogue criminal from Russia named Anton Vanko, who wants to get revenge against Tony Stark for what his father did to him 40 years ago. What will Tony Stark do with all of these problems that threaten his life and his legacy? That is the story of Iron Man 2.
Oh man, what will Tony Stark do? Not much. I'm gonna I'm gonna turn to Fergie and Elise. What have you found out about this movie? What did people say?
Well, I found one review by Mr. A.O. Scott from the New York Times. This is back in 2010. Oh, all right. So I will read the last two paragraphs. They're really quick of basically his take on this. So he says, there are, I suppose, viewers who will regard the comic filigree of Iron Man 2, and I haven't even mentioned Clark Gregg's deadpan secret agent. Oh, don't come at Coulson like that. Anyways.
No, put some respect on
Or
Coulson's name.
Gary Shandling's bloated senator as diverting or distracting filler deposited between action sequences and plot revelations. I take the opposite view. A bunch of guys in metal suits slugging it out in a park in Queens. I can probably find that on pay per view or even YouTube. And the plot of Iron Man 2 is frankly a bit of a hash as Stark's two front conflict with Hammer and Vanko competes with exposition that will only pay off meagerly, I suspect, in later sequels. Such preparation is one reason that Scarlett Johansson and Samuel L. Jackson show up here, though there are, of course, others. Mr. Jackson looks good in an eye patch, as Miss Johansson does in tight skirts and tighter bodysuits. So you might say that the movie has something for everyone, which is fine, but also, in the end, not quite enough. You're left wanting more, but not quite the more Iron Man 2 works so hard to supply. Yeah. So that's what he has to say about that. And yeah, do I go in with if I agree with this or not?
We're gonna hear all about it in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, but do you agree with him or not?
Do I? Oh, you want to hear the short answer? Yes or no?
No, just the short answer. Yeah, yes or no.
Yeah, I think for the most part, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Except for the Coulson part.
Yeah, he kind of came at my man's leg. It's like, wait, hold on.
Some respect.
But I think it's because we also have watched the other ones, and so well. Oh, anyways, I'll let you let you go ahead.
So I found a review from my boy Liam H. He says, Iron Man 2 is one of those movies where I don't see the hate towards it. Iron Man 2 is a perfectly fine sequel to the perfect original without being terrible. Unlike the next Iron Man movie, if you want to call it that, this is an actual Iron Man film, not Tony Stark versus Syndrome from The Incredibles. Anyways, for the review, I'll start with the things I wasn't a fan of in this movie. Mickey Rourke isn't bad when he's Whiplash. In fact, I love the Grand Prix sequence, but towards the end, in the final battle, it was just stupid. I did laugh a whole lot. I want my bird joke. Don Cheadle is an absolutely awful as War Machine,
What?
and they should have kept him forward. Seriously, I don't understand why Marvel was like that. Like, that's the better actor right there. Everything else was good for me. The action was just as good as the first. Justin Hammer was cool and should have been the villain of the movie. Sam Rockwell did a great job. Nick Fury was cool to see again. First appearance of ScarJo as Black Widow. Awesome hallway scene, of course. RDG as Iron Man, can't go wrong there. I don't know what movie Liam saw, but I do not agree with that.
I don't either.
Liam is bugging out. That's what
he is
he's
bugging out.
out.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about for a movie that played it a little safe. But why don't we? What do you guys think? What would you grade it?
Letter grades. I like this part.
Yeah, letter grades, because you love letter grades. What would you grade it?
No, you guys want to offer something?
You know,
just jump in.
Yeah,
I'll go
I
first.
think.
I'll go first. I don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, what did you think? What would you grade it?
It's weird because I watched all these movies, these MCU movies, before Infinity War. And so during that time, I gave Iron Man 2 a C-. I was not happy with it. This time, I don't know. My perspective changed. Certain scenes worked for me. So I feel differently. I feel like this is a B-. So
Okay.
I gave Iron Man 1 a B. This one is slightly worse, but still enjoyable for me. So I give it a B-.
I agree with you, Rinaldi. I think a B-. I might have to change my letter grade for the Hulk. I feel like it was just slightly below Iron Man 2. I feel like Iron Man 2 had better action. The jokes were better. It was more compelling as a movie. So I guess I give the Hulk a C+, but I wouldn't go much higher for Iron Man 2. It was just very entertaining. And I liked it. There were some parts I was like, wait, did I see this before? I don't know. I keep sleeping through movies or something. Some of the scenes were really fresh and new to me, but it was really good overall.
Gotcha.
I give it a C+. And I don't know. What can I say about this? So I don't know. I can understand the motivations of the antagonist here, but something about it just wasn't strong enough. Like I get why Vanko did what he did. Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. I think kind of like to Fergie on the review that you read, where it was kind of critiquing the that final battle scene. That just was like, come on. To me, that was anticlimactic. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, like down. And it was like,
wait,
popped
it's
in like
worse than the first one.
I'm like, oh wow, okay. So what was he?
It's worse. How's that worse?
It was anticlimactic.
It was anticlimactic to me.
They almost died. He was choking Tony by the throat.
No, but I think I just feel like when he got there, it was quick. Like I felt like Tony and Rhodey were fighting the drones longer than they were fighting Vanko. It's like when he got there, it was like it felt like that. And so I was just kind of like,
he's going for the kill shot.
Huh?
He's going for the kill shot. He's not playing around. He's not like, oh, Iron Man, how you've tortured me so.
No. Well,
he's like, yo, I'm trying to kill you, Joker.
Villain of the movie.
Well, that's not what I'm saying.
Villains should be difficult to defeat. That was barely a fight. He was like, I got you, and then fight over. There should have been more compelling fist fight or whatever. That wasn't there.
I just feel like as soon as he got there, it was quick. Like, to your point, Rinaldi, I do appreciate that he doesn't really talk that much. He's just like, oh, I'm coming here for a mission, and that's what it's going to be. Like, so I appreciate that, but it's just like the scene itself was like, oh, that's it? Like, I don't know. So anyways, C+.
Yeah, I think I also give this a C+. I'm tied between a B- and a C+.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to give my full disclosure on this movie because I took notes as I was watching this, and I was taking care of some other things as I was watching this, and so I knew that when it came time for us to record it, I only had so much time. But when it came to the final fight, it was literally 15 minutes, and that included all the drones. It included all the drones, and then after the 10 minutes, were up, dude comes in, my bud. He comes in, and he does his thing or whatever, goes to the kill shot, whatever. Yeah, I don't think that this was that much of a compelling villain. If on a movie standpoint, if you're just talking about a movie, if this is a part 2,
he had like how to throw.
But okay, yeah, but you know how many?
I blinked and it was over.
Yeah, but you know, okay.
I get it. The time of it. I get it. It wasn't the time.
But so for this villain, was he the first villain that ever grabbed Tony Stark by the throat?
Yes, because daggone dude from the first Iron Man was like play fighting with Tony. Looked like a bunch of daggone kids acting like a bunch of fools on a playground. That fight, I don't want to think about that Iron Man 1 fight.
Okay, but dude grabbed him by the throat, thought he could kill him. Tony Stark survived the cave.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. He survived the cave.
But that's my point. Is like he's grabbed by the throat. Oh, that's not that intense. You know how many movies I've seen where the villain grabs the guy by the throat? I'm not expecting him to die by that. What?
But those whips, man.
No, man. It's a part 2. It's a part 2. It's already begun. Okay, you know what? We're
you know what it is?
Because we have a lot going on.
You know what it is? You know what it is? I'll say this. I think my expectations for these villains are really low because I don't think Iron Man has great villains to begin with. So my expectations are low. Like if I saw this in a Batman movie, I would flip out because Batman's known for having great villains. Yeah. Iron Man is not known. Iron Man is known for being a cool character. He's not known for who he fights. He's known for the cool stuff he does.
He's known as a cool. I agree. He's known as a cool character, but he's only now known as a cool character because of the movies. They needed to build stories around him to make him, as well as Robert Downey Jr. Okay,
the comics themselves weren't good. Read the comics; they're not that good.
No, they're not good.
The only thing about Iron Man is Iron Man. That's the only. And Rhodey, you know, he's my homie, but Iron Man. That's it. Okay. That's what it is.
So if the only thing good about Iron Man is Iron Man, then what made Iron Man 1 much better than Iron Man 2?
Because we were on the journey with him. He was in the cave. He got out the cave, and
that's my point. He was actually threatened. His life, like, he could have died many times, but in this movie, he's totally safe. He could have died in the Grand Prix. Nope, we felt confident he was going to survive.
Actually, I hated that
Grand
scene.
Prix scene was more compelling than the ending, though.
What? I hated that scene.
I love that scene. I thought
suitcase.
Yo,
what if Pepper lost the suitcase? What if she lost? Oh wait, I left that back at the hotel. Now what? Now what? A suitcase?
The ending was like Tony and War Machine, like, oh, let's hold hands to defeat this villain through the power of friendship, and then it was over. And I was like, what is this?
All right, I guess we see it different ways. Yeah, we just
great. I love this. At least, what were you gonna say?
We just see it
differently. You know, I know that nobody's thinking about this, but R.I.P. to the guy that Vanko killed first. He was just racing on the track. The guy in the red car. He just got whipped last for no reason, and he's dead. Like, he was wrong place, wrong time. So just rip to that guy. I just want to.
Oh man,
I don't care about that guy. I hated that scene.
The villain, Tony Stark, just that first guy. He's just doing his thing. I'm a racer, and he just got in the middle of Tony Stark.
You realize that scene made Vanko look stupid because he's playing around with these other cars. You know what car Tony's in. Just go to his car. Stop playing around. Stop joking. Oh, car number 5. All right, I'm walking over to car number 5. All right, brother. You ruined my life. Your daddy ruined my life. Let's go. Stop playing around with the other drivers. They didn't ruin your life.
But he's a villain.
Okay. He's a villain. That's what villains do. In every movie, they build up to build a threat. No, hold on.
Few words.
But hold on. They build up. They peacock, if you will, and then they show their muscle. Okay, but before we even get to the Grand Prix, we were stuck on
Yeah.
that final fight. Look,
Yeah.
this is Iron Man 2. Okay?
Yeah.
It's coming off of Iron Man 1. The villains are only supposed to get better. So why is he choking him?
Yep.
Because
Why is he
that's how
choking
he
him?
rolls, man. That's how he rolls. That's how he does
That's
his
my
thing.
point. This is fully rigged. That's my point.
Yeah, I really
That's
had
my
low
point.
expectations. I had very, very low expectations for these villains.
Yeah,
That's
but
just
see,
how.
this is we're talking. No, I know, but like my expectations, I agree. There's very low expectations for a movie like this, but like if I'm paying a writer thousands, if not millions of dollars to write this
Yeah.
thing, like don't get sloppy. Oh, he chokes a guy, and then like 2 minutes later they're holding hands. Oh, I guess we won. Like
Okay, all right, I get it. Like, it definitely could have been better. Because remember, guys, I gave this a B minus. I did not give this an A. I gave this a B as in boy minus. So
okay,
definitely could have been better. Overall, I do believe that. I guess we just disagree on certain parts.
yeah, we disagree, but you're just wrong. So
So of the fights that we've seen so far, of the villain end scene fights that we've seen so far, which one's your favorite out of the Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 1?
Iron Man 2, hands down.
Same. After all that, yeah, same. I agree.
I know we were talking so much trash, but yeah, it is the best one.
No, it's so the Hulk was bad only because it was like Michael Bay directed it.
Yeah, and it was dark. I could barely see what was going on.
Michael Bay alone.
And so like it was mediocre.
You know how bad that fight was? They don't even mention it in Luke Cage, and that fight happened in Harlem. They don't even talk about it. They don't even talk about that fight. They talk about that fight in Daredevil. They talk about it in Daredevil.
But okay, but the reason why this fight in Iron Man 2 is better because of I think because of War Machine. This is the first time we see Iron Man and War Machine together. That's the only reason. And that was the only reason why I went to see this movie when I was younger. Okay? And I'm going to share a little bit more later on when I get to my point. But that's probably why, like the big robots, all that stuff, whatever, and then they're fighting together. That is what makes that fight better than the Incredible Hulk.
That was fresh.
I agree. And
love the chemistry
nice
between them.
Yeah, and it looked nice and clean, and like I'm not a videographer or anything, but I love the camera work on it too. The way that it kind of rotates and you kind of see it. It just looked really nice. Yeah.
Oh man, that just reminded me of something else, but we can't get there.
So where are we going?
It reminds me of another scene.
Beginning?
No.
To the beginning, or do we stay?
No, bro. That scene reminds me of a movie much later. There's literally shot for shot the same thing.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it's easy to rag on this movie.
Of course.
Because this movie.
It wasn't that bad, though.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's watchable. You know, like if it's on TV, like I'll have it on. But what are some things that we enjoyed about this movie? Like, what are some good things?
Elise is struggling.
I was thinking.
She's like, is there anything good in this movie?
Well, I think one of the big purposes of this were to, start introducing characters so that you can kind of prepare yourself for Avengers. So I did like just the introduction of War Machine, Black Widow, and just the few scenes that we get with Nick Fury. So I think I appreciated it for those things. But other than that, I think it was just kind of there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say it was so interesting seeing Black Widow because she seemed like so young and I guess pleasant. Like she's a completely different character in the later movies. So it was interesting to see just how she interacted with Tony and Pepper and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and excuse me for being a girl, but what was up with her hair though? Like they should have. Oh god, when I look at it now, I'm
Like
like,
a wig.
her hair looked like noodles, red noodles. Oh my gosh, that wig or whatever she had, that weave was killing me. But that's beside the point. I'm
Wait, that
sorry.
was a weave?
I, huh?
Yeah, that was
Sweet.
it.
That the way that
Oh,
That
thing
wow.
mop.
moved, I wouldn't be
Yeah, it
surprised.
was just a
And
mop.
Oh,
it
wow.
would, yeah,
Ugh.
that was kind of disturbing as she was like really going in on the guards and trying to rush in it.
Hey, they were working out the kinks. They
Yeah, they fixed her
Pun.
later.
budget.
But
Pun
that was,
intended.
now that I watched it over, I'm like, oh gosh. I mean, I look raggedy sometimes too, but gosh.
Oh boy.
Anyways, let's not go there. That's not what this is about. Okay,
Dropping
sorry.
bars.
Yeah. Well, I
It was
know
a
this
mop.
is not a Black Widow review, but it doesn't get better with Black Widow. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it kind of gets worse from there.
Yeah.
Because I think
But
I think she was, I give her a C minus in this movie. She
Wow,
passed.
are you grading individual people now?
Well, for Black Widow, it's like I have to kind of process because I just had this hatred
Dang.
for the character. So I have to kind of do certain things to not lose my temper when she's on screen. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to find a positive. Okay, she's a C minus in this movie. And she gets progressively worse until like Infinity War. She gets an
Yeah.
F minus.
Dang.
Doesn't
Dang.
turn into
Wow.
Oh
dust.
boy.
But we'll get there later.
Okay,
We'll
no,
get.
we're not even talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're not. We're not.
Yeah, sorry. But anyway, she's all right. She's okay in this movie. I'm with Fergie.
Yeah.
She's okay.
Yeah,
This
she's
movie
fine.
could serve. This movie survived. This movie also could survive without her.
Yes, it
But-
could have.
Yeah.
I think that, and we're just basing it off of this movie. I think I see Black Widow's importance in this movie just a little bit. I just don't. How do I say this? I'm not a huge fan of the casting and how she's being written in this.
I agree.
You know, like I
Like
see.
someone to ogle at.
Yeah, because like they're trying to build a universe and they're trying to slowly introduce, and so they're using Iron Man 2 to build this universe. And so it's like, okay, we have S.H.I.E.L.D. We already introduced Coulson in the first movie. We already teased Nick Fury. Okay, let's really throw in S.H.I.E.L.D. in this movie because I feel like this is like Iron Man 2, the introduction of S.H.I.E.L.D. And
Yeah.
I think Black Widow plays a part in introducing that world. I just don't think I'm not a fan of the casting. I'm just not. I know why they casted her, and I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Like casting in general or for her specifically?
For her specifically.
Okay.
For her specifically.
Is there an actress that you would replace her with? Like, do you have anyone you think on hand?
You know what? That would be productive of me to have an actress in mind, and I don't. I don't.
Yeah, I think
You know
if
who I think would be good?
Who?
One of the, I don't know if I can talk about her, but she's one of now I'm completely blanking. She's I forget which movie she's in. She's alongside Samuel L. Jackson. She's also a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
I know. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Agent. Help me out, Ronaldo. You know who exactly this is.
Wait, Marie.
She plays Robin Scherbatsky on How I Met Your Mother.
Ronaldo doesn't know that.
No. You're talking about Colby Smulders.
Agent Hill. Colby Smulders.
Agent Hill. Colby Smulders.
Yeah. You think that she would be a better Black Widow?
I think so. I mean, it's tough because in the movie she doesn't have a big role, but in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when she showed up, fans were buzzing and like they were actually upset that in the movie she didn't have a bigger role because she really got people's attention when she showed up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I think she could have pulled it off.
Yeah. I just know also that like Black Widow is also like she uses attraction to
Yeah.
her advantage. And so I think that was primarily why they casted
Scarlett.
Scarlett
Okay.
Johansson.
Yeah.
Because I think at the time, guys were like, "Oh, she's hot," which I don't see it, but I don't know. I just saw the casting and I'm like, this is going to be very.
You know-
but Lou, that's the only reason why she was casted. I don't think she's a bad actor. It's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I just don't. I know what for me. It's very blatant why they casted her, and it's a distraction for me.
You know, the irony
can't
of
get
it
behind
is the comic book nerds, the Marvel comic book nerds, love that casting. But then there's some other like Mark Ruffalo they didn't like, and I know that's a different movie, but they hated that casting, and he's actually good. But then they love Scarlett Johansson simply because in their minds she looked like the comic book character.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's almost like the producers were trying to appeal to the hardcore comic book nerds.
Yeah. So to stay with this movie, if we're talking about Scarlett Johansson and the casting there, just because she looks good doesn't mean that she's right for the part.
No, I don't think she's right for the part. I'm just saying,
like,
I think they're trying to appeal to a certain audience.
Sure,
that read the comics.
Absolutely. That's why I think they casted her, was that there's a specific audience they're trying to capture, and they're trying to get guys drooling in the theater. That's literally it. And for me, it's just very blatant. Past that, it's just like, I don't see Black Widow.
But some
I
of these
see Scarlett
guys,
Johansson.
But some of these guys have like Iron Man issue 150 when Black Widow and Iron Man were in a relationship, and they're like, "Oh, this is just like an issue 150 when they were in a relationship." No, but I'm saying, no, producers care. They're the ones that want to make money. They want to make money off these dudes because they'll spend thousands of dollars trying to find issue number 1 of whatever.
Yeah.
So they want that money. They want that paper. So that was it. So it was two things. It was guys are attracted to her, but comic book nerds are attracted. They wanted to get both of them.
Well, okay, so let me put it this way: if they're trying to stick so closely to the comics, why did they cast Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury?
Well, no, I'm not saying they're doing it all with everything. I'm just saying they're doing it with her.
I know.
She's a popular character. She's a very popular character in that.
I understand that, Rinaldi. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, you don't need to be like across the board with this. But I also don't think that the only reason why they casted her was because comic book nerds from like Iron Man 150 or whatever, oh, she's hot, she's whatever, oh, she looks just like the one in the comics. Because historically, these kind of movies, whenever casting takes place, there's always some sort of controversy because the casting is off and far from the source material. And then the casting ends up working. Samuel L. Jackson, what is he doing playing Nick Fury? He has no business playing Nick Fury, yet they casted him.
No, I know.
So what I'm saying is, and again, I know their purpose. I know that they're trying to appeal.
But they don't want too many fires, though. They don't want 8 controversies. They want to keep it to 2. You know what I'm saying? I agree with what you're saying. I think it's like, I feel like it's both, but maybe you're just saying I'm overthinking it. It's just
no, I'm not saying that.
They probably just slipped her in so they could get Samuel L. Jackson.
That's literally it. I think they were trying. They were trying to. I think they're just putting her in there so that, like, okay, Black Widow, we need someone hot on the screen. Yeah. Which I'm just like, she's like, I don't know. I'll leave my business out of it. I'll leave my opinion on Scarlett Johansson. I just see Black Widow on screen, and I do not see Black Widow. I see Scarlett Johansson trying to do cartwhools.
No.
She's the greatest Asian actress of our time.
She's the greatest Asian actress of all time.
You funny.
Oh yeah, because
yeah.
Dang it, what was that? The anime film that
since we're talking about continuity,
Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. Ghost in the Shell. Yeah.
Since we're talking about continuity issues.
Anyway,
you know who whenever I think of like someone to play a Russian woman role, and I know this is super typical, but it could have possibly worked maybe. I always think of Mila Jovovich.
Yeah. It's possible.
Yeah.
She got red hair.
She was in Resident Evil, right?
Yeah, she does the Resident Evil.
She got red hair.
And that's my joint. But yeah, that's who That's who I thought could fit. Not that
She
she's
did
What
like
was
seduce
sorry?
somebody. She seduced
What
somebody
was
in
her
Resident
name?
Evil.
Mila Jovovich.
Mila.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Resident
I like
Evil.
that choice because I think
Uh,
she's pretty enough where she's not distracting, but also like can like play that serious role. Whereas Scarlett Johansson is just a pretty face, and then her acting's like, okay, all right, I'll play along with this.
right.
That's my problem with. Sorry, wrong podcast. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, but in Resident Evil, in Mila Jovovich, her character was seducing a scientist that was working on that virus, and then he figured out what she was doing, and he knocked her out, and that's why she had amnesia in the first. So yeah, she did do this whole seducing thing in Resident Evil, so she probably doing the Iron Man too.
Right. I mean,
Elise, I think I agree with you.
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I've seen Resident Evil. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, I don't know. I think she was popular at the time.
Yeah, she was
And I
pretty
think it could
popular
have
at the time.
still drove, like, if their objective was to get people there. I think that, I mean, men would have to tell me, but I feel like she got enough traction from the Resident Evil movies,
Yeah.
even though they weren't exactly like how the games are. Like, Alice is a totally made up character. Like, who is she? Which was my issue with that, but that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, like I feel like she got enough traction from that, and even those like myself that have seen Fifth Element, I like her. I don't know anyone who has a problem with her. She could have been the person.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Look at
I
us.
wonder who was their first choice then for this role. Does anyone know?
Like, what was her first choice?
Who was their first choice for Black
who was
Widow?
their first choice? Yeah, Rinaldi, do you know that?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I've looked into first choices and stuff like that for different movies in the MCU, but Black Widow never popped up during the
Emily
search.
Blunt.
Oh, really?
Was her first choice. That's interesting.
Emily Blunt.
That's very interesting.
Dang it! Why they?
Married to John Krasinski.
She would have been better than Scarlett Johansson.
Interesting.
Dang, they messed up. Oh well, Marvel's not perfect.
That's interesting. Huh.
You can't bat 1,000. That's what I've heard. Now I was saying you can't bat 1,000. So.
I respect that. I respect that first choice. I don't know why they didn't go with her. Actually, there may have been a reason. I'm not.
Rob, you already explained it like 10 minutes ago. Well, partially.
Yeah. Well, I think there's other reasons, but I think that's the main reason is that they wanted to cast.
Can we move on? I really don't like Black Widow. Like we spent way too much time with her.
Listen. Every movie that has Black Widow, we're gonna spend some time just trashing. Anyways, so that's crazy. We started with like, what did we like about this movie, and somehow got to Black Widow.
No, well,
how did that happen?
Rinaldi started grading her, and then it just exploded.
She's in this movie.
So hold on. Since we're grading individual people, what do you grade the poor guy that was in the race car who was a casualty?
I'll give him an A+.
How do you grade him?
Why he gotta get some sort of success.
Yeah, Elise really did feel much for this film. She felt bad for a dude with no rights.
He was a bystander. He was just trying to race. He tried to have a career.
It's the MCU.
And then Homeboy just started.
Bystanders die.
So Rinaldi, you are vouching for this, is what you're saying. Like, it's MCU, so it's okay.
No, I'm saying it happens. That like with the Iron Man and aliens and super soldiers, like it's gonna happen.
I mean, I guess
but
right, but for some reason, as I'm like really intently like analyzing this for the sake of the review, I just noticed that and I'm like, man, that sucks. Like,
it's funny. You know what would be funny if his name was Rinaldi, because that was in Italy. My name's Italian. That would be funny if that was his actual name.
Well, do you see, Rinaldi? Do you understand? Like, we didn't know his name. We didn't get a chance because he got popped. Did he have a wife? Did he have a family? Like,
I feel bad for his family. I'll give you that much.
We'll never know.
I'll give you that much. I felt bad for his family because they're gonna have to deal with that.
You know,
I will say I was impressed
Hopefully,
that
Tony sent
during the
them some
Grand
money.
Prix scene that Tony kind of just ran to go after what's his face?
We'll call him Whiplash. That's the villain.
Whiplash, yeah.
Yeah, it's
He
Whiplash.
just ran after Whiplash without any like protection or without his suit, and I was like, oh, what is he doing? It was really brave.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. It almost like challenged him. I like that scene a lot.
Yeah,
I really like that scene. It's my favorite part, probably in the whole movie that I can remember at least. Is okay, but dude, if you had a suitcase, okay,
I think that's the thing. The suitcase just threw me off.
It threw you off, bro. If you had a metal suitcase or whatever. So if you had a suitcase and all you had to do was put it down, grab on two handles and push down, and it turns into a suit and it clothes yourself for you, and now you're Iron Man. You wouldn't think that's cool?
It took like 2.5 minutes, man. He could have got shot.
Okay, but we watched Power Rangers when I was younger. Okay, that was my gripe with Power Rangers. Okay,
you go
because the Power Rangers were
Power
more
Rangers.
for 10 minutes. The Power Rangers were more for 10 minutes, and the villains would just wait till they're finished. The Power Rangers would call for their Megazords, and the Zord would just collect itself and put together for 10 minutes, and the villains just waited. What? These are polite villains.
Oh no! You see? Oh no! You're not.
I think. Why don't you three just talk about the Monaco scene, because this is starting to turn to R&R, so just
Sailor Moon is the real one.
Oh, Sailor Moon. Okay, Sailor Moon. Okay.
Oh no, because each individual Sailor Scout has a 2-minute transformation, and they watch it each time. So there's 5 girls.
Yeah.
That's just 5 girls. And you got like a 2-minute. That's 10 minutes.
Dang. Yeah, you're right. You guys ever watch Digimon?
Oh my God. That's why I stopped watching that show, because they had the longest transformations of all time.
Yep.
Holy. Yo, why can't people just do what Yu-Gi-Oh did? Yu-Gi-Oh! Boom. Transform. 10 seconds. Yu-Gi-Oh! Boom.
Oh yeah, that was the quickest one.
But 10 seconds.
But Yu-Gi-Oh's a different intensity. You don't like. He doesn't transform, and you're just like, yo, I'm about to punch him in the face. It's like it's a card. You playing with cards. You know, it's different. You know.
But there's magic though.
Maybe if they were like fist fighting, they would, probably might punch him in the mid transformation. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah,
y'all want to talk about the Monaco scene? Go ahead. I'm gonna say.
I was gonna say I agree with you, Rob, because this is like pretty early on in Tony Stark's Iron Man journey. This like kind of shows the kinks of the suit. Like it's not that instantaneous thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was cool. Like, yeah, it's not perfect. It's not lightweight. It's not like he can say, I don't know, suit up and the suit's there.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of shows that it's a work in progress. So I didn't mind that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool too.
Even how we got the suitcase, the whole like throw it to him, like no, like that whole scene was really funny.
Yeah. No, it was. That's probably my favorite, not just scene but moment. Just that whole thing. I'm like, that is. Because you watch all these movies and he suits up differently. I still think till this day that is the coolest suit up.
All right, we're going to R&R. Yeah. We'll talk about an R&R. So.
We will. At least. We will.
Oh, y'all didn't have that R&R already. Y'all was arguing like.
No, at least go ahead.
We still got things to argue about.
No, I cut it quick and then said,
we still got things to argue about. We do. I know we do. I have notes.
Yeah, talk about what you like about the Monaco scene.
What do we think of Hammer? What's his name? Justin?
I like him.
Yeah, Justin.
He was all right.
Justin.
He did his thing.
Yeah, he was okay. What about the
plot villain?
Yeah. Kind of like he's another one of those like. Well, yeah, he's like a Tony Stark wannabe in this movie.
Yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah,
he was decent comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that's.
But he gave Vanko the resources to like build all his
Right.
stuff. So that's basically what he was there for.
Yeah, that was his point. Yeah, that's his
And
purpose.
it's really cool too, because like he is a B plot villain, but his company and his equipment end up scattered across the MCU. So
Yeah,
now
it's
going
true.
forward, you will hear the term hammer tech throughout all these movies going forward. You'll hear that, and
Yep.
so now you know where these. Now you know where it came from.
Yeah, and the TV shows too. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Luke Cage.
Well, we're not going to get into which movies and which TV shows, but just like going forward, now you know that this is scattered. This started something. What did we think of this? I think is he the senator? Who is he?
Yeah.
He's a
he was
senator.
hating. Yeah, I think he is the
a good C plot villain.
How many villains are actually in this movie?
Quite a few. A lot of people hate Tony Stark, apparently.
Yeah.
Even Bill O'Reilly hates Tony Stark.
That's the thing.
Bill O'Reilly was ranting about him.
Antagonists, not so much villains. I think they just kind of
What'd you say?
I mean, because I feel like the senator wasn't a villain per se, like, but he was more like, I don't really like you, Tony, and he made that very evident. So I feel like I would more accurately.
I'm just glad I'm not his friend.
Yeah.
I think he'd be annoying as a friend. He looks like a potato.
He does, and you see his lips. Oh my gosh, his lips! I couldn't like.
Yeah, he looks like a potato.
His lips.
Hot potato.
You know what he reminds me of?
It looked weird to hear him talk.
You guys seen Hunger Games?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know how like in what was the name of that like higher society? Was it the colony? No, I think they're colonies, but there's
the
a
capital.
Higher,
the capital.
The capital.
The capital.
He looks like a capital person. The way he's
his face.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
She said he looks like a clown. Dang.
That's your interpretation of it. Yeah.
That is my interpretation, yes.
Yeah.
The capital looks like
clowns. I will say,
hold up. Ruby had a thought.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did like this scene near the beginning with the senator and how Tony kind of just strolls in and he's being Tony and like high-key disrespecting the senator in like his Tony ways and like hijacking the TV. I love that scene.
It was perfect.
How Tony's being Tony.
Ooh, that just reminded me. Okay, so I love that scene. I love that whole thing. Did you notice how Rhodey was introduced?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought that was very clever writing. So when Rhodey comes in, right? Well, first they announce like, oh, we have like whatever witness, whatever it is, Rhodey or Rhodes, and he goes Rhodey. He turns around and Don Cheadle walks in as Rhodey, and Tony Stark goes, hey, so what are you doing here? And Don Cheadle's character, Rhodey, he says, it's me, I'm here, deal with it, let's move on. And I thought that was genius writing because it's telling the audience, yes, we changed characters, move on, deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions.
I thought that was genius writing, and he does it right at the top. And then people just like accepted it.
Yeah.
This is true.
Went from light skin on Viv to dark skin on Viv.
The dark skin on Viv.
Oh wow!
See, what Iron Man did was the reverse of Fresh Prince. They started off with the bad Aunt Viv and then came in with the good Aunt Viv.
Mm-hmm.
They did the reverse.
Damn. He went from Iron Man to Iron Man.
I hate the light skin Aunt Viv. I like Black Widow more than the light skin Aunt Viv. There you go.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Black Widow is better than the light skin Aunt Viv as a character.
Wow.
Anyway, moving on.
Well.
Yeah, I just thought that was clever. The way they introduced him and kind of was just like, nope, just deal with it. He's there. Yeah. My other favorite part of this movie is the way Iron Man is introduced. They did a lot of really good things in this movie. It's really sad that this wasn't a better movie. But the way Iron Man was introduced, and he's in the jet, and he just steps on out and flies down into the expo, and they have AC/DC playing in the background. It's still my favorite intro of Iron Man, like hands down.
Yeah.
It's epic. It fits Tony Stark. There are moments where I'm like, I wish I can go to work that way. Like, it's epic. It's epic.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool things that happen in this movie. It's a shame that this wasn't a better movie overall.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, how can you see that and then hate on the movie? Because that's like classic Tony.
That's true. That's true. So
I think the movie tanks only the last like half hour of the movie, but it's still pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, the last half of the movie is where it kind of falls apart. I think the movie was trying to do a little too much and play it safe.
Yeah, I agree.
Where you have like mediocre villains who are not like. At one point, I did not feel like Tony Stark was. I think the only threat Tony Stark really felt was himself, like how he needed to change his arc reactor because he was getting sick.
That's the real threat. It's him. It's not the villains.
So the villains. It's like an afterthought for Tony in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, it's like Jessica Jones season 2, but better, still Jessica Jones season 2. It's kind of like what's happening here. Like,
I can get down with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see. It's like they're good things, but overall, you don't feel as hyped up as the first part.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I see. I really feel like the beginning of this movie was strong. Like the hearing, the government hearing was strong. Just introducing all the relationships, like him and Rhodey, him and Pepper, and just you see where they're at in terms of relationships, and he's working with Jarvis to find a cure, and I think he and Jarvis have good banter.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for Dummy because he still abuses Dummy, and I don't know why, because Dummy saved his life in the first movie by giving him that backup arc reactor when he was literally going to die. And for some reason, in the second movie, he still bullies Dummy. I don't get it. Yeah. I feel bad for Dummy, not that driver. Because Dummy actually is like a robot that can help save lives. What is that driver going to do for people? I don't even like race cars. But anyway, the beginning of the beginning of this movie was strong, and I think it was well written and like tightly constructed. And then, like Rob said, the halfway point, they start thinking about Avengers. They start trying to make these villains like threatening, and they start doing all this extra stuff, and it's just like, well.
Yeah, I. What point do we feel like that this movie started to, I don't know, not decrease, but become less of what it was?
I feel like it was. I feel like I was kind of getting upset. Like, I understand what they were trying to do, but I was starting to get upset when he kind of like got super drunk and was like having his little party. And they were just throwing stuff in the air, and he was like shooting it. I was just like, "What are you doing?" Like, I think at that point, it's like, I understand why he got drunk and everything, and like, just everything he was going through. But like, I was starting to get really annoyed. I'm like, "Yo, this is like, what am I watching right now? Like, am I watching a reality show right now? Like, or is this Iron Man? I don't."
Yeah.
I just had that.
That was hard to watch for sure.
Yeah,
I don't think there was progression. It was like he was struggling to tell them, like, hey, I'm dying. And then all of a sudden he was just like, oh, I'm just going to get drunk and have fun because I'm going to die. There's like no progression.
Yeah. But he just
I think
looked like just an older frat boy. Like, it was a frat party. That's what I felt like. It was like, what are you doing? You're a grown man. Like, oh my gosh. So that was, yeah. But anyways.
But he was scared though.
Yeah, he was scared. I think while he's a genius and while he's invented all this amazing innovation and all of that, I think there's still things that he has not dealt with, and that's kind of what we see in this movie is things that he's held on to when it comes to his father.
Yeah.
You know, dealing with like, okay, I survived the cave, and this thing is holding on to me for however long, but now I'm dying and I don't know how to deal with it. Because I think he wants to prove to himself that he can be self-sufficient, and the only person he really has is Pepper Potts, and now Shield, I guess. But I don't know. I think that he's hurting. I
Rhodey.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I and I
Rhodey.
yeah, he's hurting too. But like in the scene where he gets drunk, he's like fighting his buddy Rhodey,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
and so this is his like, it's almost, you don't see a character arc in this movie, but the movie in it of itself, I guess, is the middle of his character arc. It's part of his overall arc.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not that
Makes
you would
sense.
recall this movie, because I think if you ask me, like, this is one of those movies in all of the movies that are a little more forgettable. But I think this does play into the character of who he is
Right.
overall in the big grand scheme of things.
Right. Yeah.
Did you
So I
guys
And
like
understand.
I
the
would
fight?
say,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I think I was gonna say similar to what you were gonna say. Like I did like that scene of Iron Man and War Machine fighting. I like that their friendship is one where like they can yell at each other and fight and still be fine at the end of the day. I thought it was cool to see him suit up. I still really like the look of that silver Iron Man suit. I thought that was cool. And I'm like, I wish I could be as rich as they are and completely trash my house, and just be fine at the end of the day.
It's like,
But I liked that scene. It was entertaining. It was interesting. And it's kind of at the end of, or the midpoint in Tony Stark's like existential crisis.
Yeah, I think after that, which I think, Rinaldi, correct me if I'm wrong, that's probably like the end of the second act of the movie, right?
Oh, I think the end of the second act of the movie was when Samuel Jackson told him to go back to his house and fix himself. I thought that ended the second act.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's pretty close to the fight. It's maybe 20 minutes after the fight that the second act ends. Maybe 10 minutes after the fight. It's pretty close to this.
Yeah. I think it was fun. That fight was fun. It wasn't like epic or anything. I think it was fun to watch.
That fight was well done.
It was better than the end fight
I like that fight.
That was better than what?
I said that fight was well done.
That end fight scene.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought it was better than end? Oh man, we're not going back to that.
Also, my last thing that I have that I like completely forgot was in this movie. Did you guys see Elon Musk?
Briefly,
yeah.
I think it was in the beginning when he left the expo, right? He like dapped him up real quick or something.
He was in Monaco.
Oh, it was in Monaco. Okay, it was real quick.
It was really quick.
Yeah.
It was really quick. It's I forget what Elon asked Tony. Yeah, I forget what he asked him. He said something about a project that he was working on.
Yes.
It was like really quick though. Is that as Tony was walking, he stopped, talked to Elon Musk, and kept on walking.
Yeah, I didn't catch it.
So, what were some, I guess, bad parts?
You can try again.
Okay. Before we talk about the bad stuff, I wanted to share one more good thing.
A good thing?
One good thing. Okay. Wait. Say that. Say that. So hold on, bro. So say that again.
So I do want to get into some of the bad stuff because I know you guys had some issues, especially Elise. Am I fading in and out again?
Why don't you type in the question in the chat?
Oh, okay. Well, I had a comment before the question.
Oh. Yeah, what was it? Because yeah, you kind of cut out.
I want my bud.
I know.
That was
I want
funny.
my
I want
Wait,
my
let me
bud.
alright.
There's so many memes on that guy.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I want my
I would
bud.
say Mickey Rourke was very believable. I'm like, if I go to Russia
Yeah.
and I don't see him, I'd be disappointed.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You
No,
know,
he for the role that he was given, he did a really good job. He was fun to
he
watch.
fought with the director because there are some scenes that got cut of him, of his backstory. He was unhappy about it. It's deleted scenes now.
That would have been good because I think, yeah, I think what I was saying earlier about like, okay, I understand why he's coming after Tony, but it like really was kind of like meh. I think it's because I was missing that.
Yeah.
It was kind of like,
Mhm.
okay, I know, I understand. Okay, you know, he was in the U.S. He was working with Tony's father on it and everything, and then
Hmm.
he ended up getting deported and all that. Yeah, so I get that, but it was just yeah, I didn't really. It was like okay, and but you can move on, right?
Mm.
Like it didn't really. I don't know. You can't really completely. For me personally, I don't think I could completely sympathize because I didn't really get attached to that.
Mm.
But I understand it, but it's like
Yeah. What about
yeah.
Tony's relationship
But
with his
I
dad?
agree.
That's storyline.
I
What?
will say that recording that hit me right in the feels.
Yeah, I could see it developing. Yeah, because he kind of felt like, oh, my dad don't care about me, and then he's just like
Hmm.
in the video, he has that bit like, hey, this is for
Yeah.
you, Tony. So I think, yeah, that was really important. I like that.
All right, we're gonna talk about the bad stuff now because she had some stuff in the beginning.
Oh, you want to hear the bad things from me? Is that
Yeah.
the? It just my I just kind of felt like I don't know. Yeah, I think I mentioned before. It was just kind of like so Vanko makes this big like entrance at the beginning, and then you're just like, okay, throughout the movie, he is doing his stuff with the drones and all that stuff, and you're just, I don't know, I just felt like I was waiting for something a lot more explosive, especially
Hmm.
because once he came on the scene with like he totally like improved like the suit that he was in and everything. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, what was about to go down, and it just was so quick, and it was like the drones did the majority of the fighting for him, even though the drones failed
Mm.
really bad.
Hmm.
So I think it just, I don't know, it just felt like there was a villain or villains, but they were just kind of there. Like, I don't know,
Mhm.
it just didn't really feel it. It was just a thing. Like, I felt like instead of this being a movie, this felt like a couple episodes of a series or something. Like
Mhm.
it didn't have a nice wrap up to it. It didn't, what made
Mhm.
Iron Man 1 so good is that there's a progression. All right, we're at the beginning, we go here, and you can kind of see how the story flows and how it all comes together by the final fight. But it's just here, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, hi Vanko. Oh snap, you killed the NASCAR guy, and now you're after Tony. Okay, and now like you go to jail and you're out and you do this stuff. It's just like I don't know. He just was like they were just in a bunch of scenes. It just didn't. It was very
Mhm.
loosely connected to me. Like
Mhm.
if that makes sense. I'm trying to say it as best as I can. But that was my problem with the movie. It had great elements, but they just weren't tied together very well. It was just flashy. You know what I mean? I will never complain about the effects. Those are wonderful, but like story and plot wise, it just need more reining in to me. Yeah.
What about you, Fergie? Some
Um,
bad stuff.
I would say Gwyneth Paltrow's performance. there were some scenes where she was talking to Tony where I'm like, why did she pause right there? Or like, why is she acting so hard? Like, it just felt like a little weird to me. But I do like their relationship, and I think she plays the role well. I'm just like, why did you say it like that? But that would probably be it for me.
Oh, cool. Cool. All right, we doing R&R?
Ooh, we doing R&R. Fergie, give me some piano.
Oh, geez.
How I really feel about Iron Man 2. Great moments, great characters, individually. As a whole, I would say it was subpar. You know, if the hero doesn't draw you into the movie, a good villain does. And this movie does not have that. And it's not the characters or the plot or anything that makes the movie what it is, but it's just the movie itself. This was a great trailer. I remember when I first saw the trailer on YouTube or on TV or wherever I saw it, and I saw all the cool scenes. I saw the scene with the Grand Prix where he puts on the suit from his suitcase. That was cool. And in the trailer, you see both War Machine and Iron Man put their helmets on, and I thought that was cool. Those are the two moments that I saw in the trailer. I saw both of those moments in the movie, and those are my best and favorite moments in this movie, and that was it. Everything else in between, far and wide, were subpar, mediocre. This movie can be thrown away or stashed on YouTube, or it can just go straight to a streaming service today. That's my gripe. Biggest gripe of this movie. I still give it somewhere between a C+ and a B-, but this is definitely a good trailer.
So Rob and I see eye to eye, but we also see differently with this movie. Because I firmly give it a B-. It is not a C movie, it is above average, slightly above average. Because Tony Stark had a very strong character arc. He had to deal with his feelings about his father that were buried deep inside him and was mentioned in the first movie, but he quickly brushed it off to deal with constructing his Iron Man suit. But in Iron Man 2, faced with death from poisoning and not from mediocre villains, he had to confront his past with his father. And through that, he was able to rediscover who he really is and build his own legacy, and he created a new element on the periodic table, which is really cool. But the problem is that was only 30% of the movie. The other 30% was a bunch of Easter eggs for comic book nerds to freak out about and say, yeah! And for Rob to shake his head and say, dude, you need to get a girlfriend. That was 30% of the movie. The other 30% of the movie was about two villains that had funny moments and interesting moments, but overall were not threatening. The only cool parts of this movie was Tony's relationships with Pepper and Rhodey, and him bantering back and forth with Samuel Jackson. Which isn't good for a superhero movie, because the central conflict of a superhero movie is fighting a villain. And we didn't really get that in Iron Man 2. But at least Robert Downey Jr. is an awesome character, and that is enough for me. But I guess it was not enough for Rob.
It's not enough for me, bro. It's not. It is not. Okay, listen. I was rushing out of high school. Okay. Hold on. Let me finish my thought. I was rushing out of high school. As in, like, get me out of high school. Let me graduate as soon as possible. I don't want to go back and rediscover the periodic table. I don't want to go back to science. Stuff is cool, but, like, yeah, I'm not going to see this movie. By the way, I'm not going to see this movie to connect with his father and all those things are character development stuff, but I saw the trailer. I'm going to the movie to see more of what I saw in the trailer, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, I see that, but isn't Robert Downey Jr. just awesome as Iron Man? Just like,
I
is
follow
it
him on Instagram. He's great. I don't need to go to a
every
movie to see
scene
that.
in this slightly above average movie is great with that focuses on him, and the reason this movie is a B minus is because of him. If a different actor was casted as him, this would be a D plus because he's carrying this movie on his back. Like
And he
he's
shouldn't.
literally like, all right, guys, I don't know what's going on. I know the comics don't have great villains, but you guys are getting paid millions to come up with something for me to fight, and you're just sticking with the comics. You're playing it safe. So I'm gonna carry this movie on my back, and I'm gonna make this movie some money because I'm Robert Downey Jr. player, and that's what he did for me.
And that's good for Robert Downey Jr. That's good for Robert Downey Jr.
It's good for
As
me.
a fan, but as a fan that has seen the trailer and it's okay. I know that this is not this kind of podcast, but that is the very reason why I was so disappointed with Batman v Superman.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
Batman v Superman is a good trailer.
Are we talking about the first trailer or the other? Because the other ones were terrible. We're talking about the first one.
We're talking about the first and the third trailer.
All of them.
No, I only like the first one. The first one was fresh.
That's what I'm saying. But that's my point. That's my point. Regardless, like it's a good trailer, but a movie production, a full 2.5, 3 hour movie, no. And that's what this movie was. This movie, not as bad as BVS. Let me just clear the air on that. Not as bad as that, but for the movie that it's coming off of Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
If this is going to be like Iron Man or Iron Man 2, and you're trying to set the stage and build up to an Avengers, if this is just a footnote or a marker or a checkpoint to the end goal, then don't promote it as hard as you did. Like, I don't know. That's my thing.
They screwed up.
Because
they promoted that way, but this is a checkpoint. It's a checkpoint. It's a checkpoint with a bunch of Easter eggs to trick people into thinking, hey, this movie's great, but we're not into all that comic book Easter egg stuff. We just wanted a movie that had a compelling villain and a compelling conflict, and we didn't get it. And so we're all, well, not me, but the three of you all disappointed. But they just, it's like a slick car salesman. It's like, hey, I got all this flashy, shiny lights. And then you get in the car and you're like, wait, this is just a regular car. Like, I thought this was, I'm paying $30,000 for this. Why is this just a regular used car? But I knew that guy. I didn't trust that guy though. Yeah. I didn't get in the car.
But see,
I walked away from the guy.
If I get in the car and I test drive this car, okay, I want to make sure that I can return it to the lot and say yay or nay. I don't want to test drive this car and halfway through have whiplash, slice the car in half, and destroy me and the car, and it doesn't make it back. I want to know what I'm at least getting, or I want more of what I've seen in the trailer and be surprised. And unfortunately, I was not delivered that. I don't know. That's just my gripe with this movie.
I think I forgot how I originally felt about the movie. Because when I originally seen this movie, I was very angry. Yeah. But I think it's hard for me now because that was years ago, and I'm just rewatching it. So as just like knowing what it is, it's a checkpoint. Like, it's a thing that's just there.
Let me just say this. I don't hate this movie, although it might sound like I do. I don't hate this movie. I don't. I'm disappointed that this was not a better movie. This movie had so much potential to be a really good movie. It had great moments, had a strong first half of the movie, and even the characters that we were given, like each character, not that they were major characters or anything, but like the characters by themselves were at least believable. You know? So this had potential to be a really good movie. I think at some point halfway through, too much was going on, and it became a very safe and mediocre movie.
Yeah, way too much. You had Fury, you had Black Widow, you had Coulson, you had Hammer, Vanko, Rhodey, Pepper, the Senator dude being annoying. There's a lot of people.
Yeah. You know what I think? this movie was missing, and we kind of touched on it early in this episode. The first movie had tension. You felt like you knew he was going to survive, but there were moments where you're like, yo, like Tony's going through it. You never feel that in this movie.
Because the conflict is with himself. That was the whole point.
But even
That was
then,
the whole
even the
point.
conflict with him, but even the conflict with himself, you don't feel it. Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor.
I felt it
I
because
did not feel it.
he's alienated from his friends. He's
I
alone.
felt it in future movies, which we're not talking about. I felt it in future movies. In this movie, I did not feel it.
Rhodey hated him. Pepper didn't want the strawberries. He was alone. All he had was Jarvis.
No. But you know, how do you feel it?
Don't shake your head, Elise.
Just because it's happening on the screen doesn't make me feel it. Like the only point that made me feel it for Tony was when he was throwing that drunk party. That's the only point when I really felt it. Before and after that, he's just ignoring the whole time. Even when he's watching the video with his dad, like you feel it a little bit, but it's not like, oh man, that was compelling. There's nothing compelling happening in this movie. But in Iron Man 1, there were compelling moments. No, nothing. What compelling moment happened? There was a lot of cool shots.
Everything you described with Tony.
No, that was not compelling. Okay, let me step back.
The problem is this movie has too many distractions. This movie has way too many distractions. That's why I hate this movie, because I don't hate this movie. That's why I'm frustrated. Because I think we're frustrated for different reasons.
Yeah.
Because to me, this movie is Easter egg Iron Man 2. Not Iron Man 2. There's more focus on the Easter eggs, like the Captain America shield and like the references to the Avenger Initiative, Thor's hammer. I'm like, where's Iron Man? Like, I won't pay to see Iron Man. I want to see him deal with his father and with Pepper and build his suit better and get cured of poison.
I don't think that those things are crazy distractions, if you ask me.
For me,
I think it's yeah, I can see it being a distraction because it's like, okay, that broke my attention from whatever I'm trying to invest in.
Yeah, because he literally grabs Captain America's shield and he's like, yeah, just set it. I'm like, what is this? What?
Well, yeah, because they're trying to build up to something. And so that I understand. But my only thing is that all of those things that we're saying that there was tension and Tony Stark was really feeling it and I felt it for him, I did not feel that for him. I did not feel at one point that Tony Stark's life was threatened. I did not feel that at one point. I felt that in Iron Man 1, and that's what made it a better movie.
I wasn't looking for threatening. I was looking for character.
I wasn't looking for that either, but I felt it. I felt it in Iron Man 1. His life was threatened several times.
Okay. All right. Well, we agree to disagree.
I guess we do. I do
have 2 questions for you guys. My 2 questions are, out of all the villains in the last 3 movies that we saw, which one was your favorite? Like, which one was more menacing or more believable or just more evil, I guess? And then my second question is, based on the 3 movies that we've just seen, where does this movie fall?
So, as far as villains, I think out of these 3 movies, and it's tough because in Iron Man 1, Obadiah Stane is a really good villain, I think. He was compelling. He was menacing. His only downfall is that in the third act, the fight was just blah. But in Hulk, you have Abomination. And that, you know what? I would say Obadiah Stane would be probably, out of these 3, the best villain so far. But it's not far from Hulk's villain. So I'll say that. Obadiah Stane, best villain. And where does this movie fall? I will say that it is better than Hulk, but not as good as Iron Man 1. So I would say Iron Man 1 is number 1. Iron Man 2, as a rank, if we're going to rank this, Iron Man 1 is at number 1 right now. Iron Man 2 is at number 2, and the Hulk is number 3.
I respect that.
For me, I think villain, I would choose Blonsky / Abomination as the top. there's something that I like about a simple villain. Like literally, he was just like, "Oh, yo, I want power. Let's
Yeah.
go," and that's good enough. Like I feel like that's good. The like I feel like in the other ones for Iron Man 1 and 2 is kind of like it was like I understand why Stain wanted to do what he wanted to do, but it was kind of like, dang, you really got to go and kill him though. Like that's deep, you know. And the same thing with like Hammer and Vanko. But yeah, I think Blonsky, I liked him the best, despite how it looked in that final fight. But
Yeah.
Blonsky, I like, and I would agree with Rob with the ranking. I say Iron Man 1, then 2, and then Hulk. And the only, I feel like the one reason why, a big reason why I put Iron Man 2 over Hulk is because RDJ does his thing. And it's just like, I
Facts.
think if Edward Norton was a little bit more compelling, it was just like Hulk was just
Mm-hmm.
like a flat movie. It was just like blah. But at least with Iron Man 2, even though it had its like issues, you can still watch it because like RDJ's killing his role, everyone's kind of like still acting on point, but most of all,
Mm.
Robert Downey Jr. is
Yeah.
doing it. So it's like, okay, this is a little bit but Tony, he's funny, he's compelling, he's charismatic, etc. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
I respect that too. What about you, Nald Money?
I'm with Rob. I'm gonna go with Stain as a compelling villain, the most compelling villain, because Stain, he was clever and there was a slow build. Like at first, Stain was a friend or a mentor that kind of disagreed with Tony, and you're kind of worried about that. And then all of a sudden, Tony realized that he actually wanted to keep the company a weapons company. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, Tony, his life is in danger because of Stain. He's going behind his back. So there was a build up there that I don't think was the case with Abomination. And Vanko, there was some build up. I did like Vanko, but I think there were moments he fell flat. But I thought there were moments where he popped. But Stain was the most consistent. If I had to rank these movies, I'd go. I go with everybody else. Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, and then Hulk. So yeah, I'm going with Iron Man 1 because it's most consistent. Iron Man 2 had great moments, better moments I think than Iron Man 1, but there are also a lot of flat moments. And then Hulk, I'm with Elise. It was flat. I mean, there were a few good moments in Hulk, but it was mostly flat. So
Okay. I think I'm similar to Elise. I thought Abomination was the better villain because you can kind of see his progression throughout the movie. I loved that fighting scene at the college where he's just like running super fast and booking it. I thought that was really funny. And even just to see his just evil intent just take over everything, just clouded everything that he did. So I thought that was just compelling, even though the ending was kind of dumb. And then if I had to rank the movies similar to Rob and Elise, to all of you guys, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, and then Hulk. Um, and I think Iron Man 2 was just way more entertaining than Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Better jokes, better action, better lighting, better all around. So yeah, I think the Hulk's going to be down there for a little bit.
I think there like almost any movie has better lighting than the Hulk. The Hulk had no lighting.
Yeah.
like half that movie was in the dark. I was like, bruh. The beginning was pretty fresh though when they were in Brazil and he was just like, but yeah, as the movie progressed, it got darker. Until the end, you couldn't see anything going on.
So what movie are we watching next?
I think it's Thor.
I think it's Thor.
Thor 1.
Thor numero uno.
I know Rinaldi's excited about that.
I know he was excited since last time.
I was like, I'm not saying anything.
Do you have any predictions? Do you have any predictions on this movie? Is it good? Is it bad? A+, F-?
I remember it being good. I can't remember.
I think.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Elise. That's all you.
No. Well, I'm not. I can't remember what grade I gave it or I would give it, but I just know it was good, and it was the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I started to have issues with it by the time it got to number 2. I was like, yo, which is becoming a trend right now. But as we review these, maybe I'll feel differently. But I remember really liking Thor a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Thor was my first introduction to the MCU, so I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it since I saw it 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Thor will be an okay movie. I think it'll be. I don't think it'll be bad. I think it'll be a solid movie. I seen it once, and I remember thinking it was just okay. I was never really a huge Thor fan, actually nowhere close to it. I think Chris Hemsworth does a great job helping you fall in love with the character.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a solid movie. The next time we come together on the next episode, we will review the first Thor movie. We get introduced to Thor. We get to see Idris Elba and all that nice stuff. And we get introduced to Loki. That'll be fun. Tune in next time for our review on Thor. Thank you guys for listening, and see you guys later.